school we had 9, right?
Karen.
9.
Karen. No.
You know, I can do rough years or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright.
Thanks.
Yeah, no worries.
That's the coolest game I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
great.
pretty brand.
I'm gonna be looking for that now.
Yeah.
My luck, they probably don't make it anymore.
I don't think that they do, but actually you can find it on eBay.
I was just gonna say I'm on eBay a lot.
Yeah, you can find it
Or
on
Ned's
eBay.
Head.
Ned's Head, that's another good
Version
one.
of it.
Have you ever seen Operation Brain Surgery? It's a fun one.
You reach inside the head and you have to look for like the toy in there to match the card.
They love that.
Yeah, it is. It's a fun one. It's one of the kids' favorites. Yeah, so I'm Dr. Patrick Judd. I'm the school psychologist here.
I'm Danielle Fern. I'm the social worker here.
We do at the Parent Institute about 3 times a year, and we try and pick topics that parents could be interested in. The behavior management techniques that we're going to talk about tonight come from a couple of different curriculums that we actually use here in the building. Mind Up is one that we've even done a presentation on before, and Zones of Regulation is one that we use here in the district, along with the Nurtured Heart. Has anybody ever heard of any of these? Kasdan method for parenting the defiant child? No? Okay. Mind Up actually is a program that was developed by a foundation set up by Goldie Hawn. Yes, the actress from back in the 80s and the 90s. She, following 9/11, was very affected by what was going on with kids that were suffering post-traumatic stress following the 9/11 experience. And so she worked together with some different therapists and neurologists and different doctors, and they created the Mind Up program. And she also wrote a book that kind of accompanies it for parents, and it's called 10 Mindful Minutes. And it's a really good book, and it's a very, I think, parent-friendly, user-friendly way of understanding the Mind Up curriculum. Highly recommend it if you're interested in checking it out. Nurtured Heart is a kind of a big chunk of the program that we're going to talk about tonight. It's something that was developed by Howard Glasser. He basically, I think, took a lot of very behavioral concepts, and I think he's really presenting it in a very nice way. And we'll actually show you a video of Dr. Glasser, and he's going to talk about a little bit of the Nurtured Heart program, and it's something that we actually just went to a training on. Zones of Regulation is a really good curriculum. It's a very visual way of explaining to kids how they're feeling, and gives them a concrete way of identifying where they may be and also what they may need to do to help themselves in the situation. And then the Kasdan method is basically, I think, very similar to the Nurtured Heart, except for the differences is it's more of a, I would say, a tangible reward based program, and it uses things like behavior charts and stuff that you might put up on your refrigerator, and uses stickers and those kinds of things. But really, a lot of the stuff that you see in the Nurtured Heart is really a big part too of Kasdan. I think sometimes folks tend with the Kasdan to focus solely on the behavior charts, but that's only a portion of it. So,
And for the Nurtured Heart, it uses kind of like your intention and positivity as the reward. So that's kind of the difference, and you'll see that. And it's really very interesting. We went, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, to a presentation on it. And it's been really interesting. We've got to apply it in some groups, so we can give you a little bit of that too. So I think we're going to start. We have the first activity.
yes.
Okay, we'll start with yours, right?
Yeah, so what we would like you to do, this is actually a group participation heavy. So what we'll have you do is, and if you want, you can just even stay right in your spot, that's fine. We'll give each of you a card, and what I want you to imagine is that you are talking to Pat here, or me, Pat, and this is the day that Pat would go through, and what I want to do is I want to start with the number 1, and we're going to go right through each number. And what each of these is basically a prompt or a redirect that you or another adult might give to a child. So these prompts, like I say, they're in order. So
1 through 9.
Yeah, so we'll start with 1, 2, 3, and we'll go all the way through. And like I say, this is kind of a
His
potential
day, it's his
day for Pat. And we're gonna do positive, negative. So why don't we start over here with Miss Linex? So pretend you're talking to Pat right now.
I have to say this?
Yep, to him.
Say it to him.
Pat, finally you're up. It's about time.
Get your lunch and let's go.
Patrick, we're always waiting for you. You realize again that you're the last one to get out your folder?
Well, we finally got our homework done. About time.
Stop bothering your neighbor. They're trying to get their work done. A B? That's the best you could do? We expect A's in this house.
Did I give you permission to give your brother juice? Who made you the parent?
See, you could have hard days. You could have good days if you tried harder. I told you it wasn't that hard to do. I don't want to hear any fooling around. It's bedtime. So,
Alright, I'm gonna give you
if
next
you can
round of
we'll
cards.
take those cards back from you.
We're just gonna read this after Anne returns. Okay. So this one, while we're gonna start again, we're just gonna go in order 1 through 9, and we're just gonna read it again as if we're the teacher or the parent, wherever Pat is in his day. So you can start again.
Pat, I like the way you got up and ready for school so quickly all by yourself.
I'm gonna go negative on this one. Pat, you picked such a healthy breakfast.
Pat, nice job of taking out your folder and following my directions.
Pat, your homework was done so nice and neat. Our handwriting was so well done. I can tell you took your time and worked really hard.
Pat, I like the way you are helping your friends on the assignment.
You earned extra TV time tonight. You got a B on your math test. I'm so proud.
You had such a great day today. Dad and I are so pleased with you.
That was nice of you to help your brother get more juice. You're such a great older brother.
Mate, Pat, I love you. I'm so thankful to have such a kind, loving, and caring, sweet boy as my son.
So
Those were the same day.
those were basically the same day, but what did you notice with the first set versus the second set? A lot of them were saying the same thing, but there was kind of a different tone to how they were being said, right? So I think one of the things that we're going to do as we go through this is we're going to try and show in the Nurtured Heart approach how what they attempt to do is just that. They essentially try to reframe how we're talking to kids throughout the day and trying to, I think, zero in and catch them doing good, whereas we're trying to avoid, because I think I can even say for myself, sometimes it's easier to go there because I think that sometimes the negative just pops right in our head, right? Like that's the one that comes right up. Whereas the positive one, we might have to stop and think about it for a second. There's actually a funny research study, and it's kind of, I think, connects to this. At work, 95% of the conversation that happens around the water cooler, like just hanging out, is negative. Like they actually did a research study on that. And I think that's an interesting thing. Like if you think about like even the way that we connect with each other sometimes, we would probably usually complain about the weather, or complain about how busy we are, or we'll complain about our bad day or something like that. And that's even just how we banter. So interesting like how that might even affect what we're doing and when we're speaking to kids.
I'm going to show you the beginning clip of just an introduction of the Nurtured Heart.
relationship, more connection, essentially, more energy from people because of their poor choices. They inadvertently discover that by doing the wrong thing, that people show up for them in greater ways. So ways that we show up when things are going wrong is we get all excited, we lean in, we show children more emotion. We're much more excited, much more compelling and alive when things are going wrong. It's almost as if they can smell our perfume and they can feel our heartbeat in stronger ways. And we tell kids that we're busy, but we're never too busy for problems. So we have to bring children to a new impression, essentially, that we're not going to respond in that way. Then the positives can have an impact. The second reason why normal approaches don't work is because the positive element to the way we communicate with children within relationship is very pale and unenergized. So our normal ways of being positive is to say thank you and good job. And for an intense child, it doesn't convey enough relationship, nor does it tell them exactly what we're excited about. It doesn't tell them what they're being appreciated for. It doesn't tell them what they're being recognized for. Kids aren't going to know what they're being appreciated for enough to have it register, to have it move them into seeing themselves as a positive child. So we won't build inner wealth. Third reason why normal approaches fail with intense and challenging children, and I'll contend with all children if we're looking to build inner wealth, is because the consequences fail to deliver a clear enough, a simple enough, a doable enough method of alerting kids when they cross the line and having it be consistent enough. Often we have methods that aren't clear enough, where children don't know what's a rule, when the rule is in play. We give warnings half the time, we don't give warnings half the time. And a lot of times when we deliver consequences, we inadvertently are explaining to children what they did wrong, and so we're at cross purposes, and we wind up giving them the gift of our relationship in the midst of the problem. This leads me to the good news, is that the Nurtured Heart approach is based on 3 essential stands that are simple to understand and simple to put into effect. And I'd like to invite you.
So, I think one of the things that I took away from this presentation that was really significant was when they talked about dealing with misbehavior, what they talked about was being short to the point and basically being affect or emotionless, being without emotion, being bland, so that you, like for example, they talked about like a child cursing, what their intervention in that would be language, and that would be it. What we have a tendency to do when that same thing happens is we sit and we lecture and we go on and on about why it's inappropriate and how do you think that affected other people and all these things. And what we're doing is inadvertently we're giving them energy at that point. And for some of our really intense guys, it doesn't really matter whether the energy is positive or negative. It's just that they've got you, you know. And when you think about the passion that you might deliver at the moment when you're really upset or really frustrated at a behavior that your child's engaged